We are meant to call from out of the past stories, strange and weird.
Tales of mystery and terror by radio's masters of the macabre.
Stories of the supernatural, the supernormal, dramatized in fantasy, the mystery, the unknown. We tell you this frankly, so if you wish to avoid the excitement and tension of these imaginary plays, we urge you calmly and sincerely to turn off your radio now.
Welcome back to The Horror. Thanks for joining me this week. Before we get to today's episode, a quick reminder, you can visit relicradio.com for more old-time radio, our Shoutcast stream, and our donate button. If you'd like to help support this and all of the shows, your donations are what makes it all happen. Thanks to those who have helped out. Thanks for helping bring today's episode to us. We're going to hear from Nightfall, a series created by the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. This one aired March 27th, 1981. This episode is titled The Book of Hell.
In the dream, you are falling, lost in the listening distance, as dark locks in. Nightfall. Good evening. Tonight, we'll be a little more literate than usual to give you the inside story of a manuscript they're just dying to get into print. The play, from the pen of Mavor Moore, is called The Book of Hell.
I don't care if it's the deepest book since Kafka, Andy. It still won't sell.
I had hoped for more important considerations than sales.
There isn't a publisher in the country who'd touch it.
But Gordon...
The book industry's broke, for God's sake. We're putting chicory in the office coffee.
Surely it would sell a few thousand.
Violence sells. Sex. Weird religion. Put them together and you clean up.
Clean up. Odd expression for publishing garbage.
Yeah. Find it all in the Bible.
And Dante and Shakespeare, I know.
So get your academic ass off that high horse.
I'm talking about a highly relevant piece of work, Gordon. A penetrating look at Western society that warns us where we're headed.
I can tell you where
Linda
you're headed.
agrees with me that it's the
Out.
most...
You want to work here, you work to my rules, Professor, or you go back to the cloister you came from.
Sure, Gordon, sure. But you are losing one of the most remarkable manuscripts.
Editors are for editing. Presidents are for calling the shots. Now, you and Linda better get that straight.
Andy? God, have I got something for us?
Oh, hi, Linda. Just let me get my caffeine chaser. Another clobbering by the boss.
I am flying. Listen, last night...
But let me brace myself. All right, what happened?
I got a manuscript from A.J. Yanofsky.
Want a coffee?
Love some.
One coffee, black as Gordon's soul.
Thanks. I read it last night. Andrew, you would not believe.
I didn't know Yanofsky was still alive.
Hibernating in Mexico.
Long winter.
12 years.
There were rumors, right?
Uh-huh.
He was on the lam from the drug squad? No, he was murdered. No, he murdered someone. He's a Nazi doctor, and he's the bastard son of Greta Garbo.
Who cares? He's a great writer.
Linda. A.J. Yanofsky was strictly a 60s phenomenon. Who needs that stuff now, all that stream of subconsciousness crap?
That's my time you're knocking, Curly. I was there.
And if he has started writing again, why would he send the manuscript to you?
'Cause, I knew him. Yeah, like we met. Hung around in Haight-Ashbury.
Oh, cute little California flower children.
He told me once, Linda, I'm going to write the Book of Hell. I'll send it to you.
And 15 years later, he did.
Yeah, an incredible work. A sort of documentary, Eddie. First-person stuff.
You mean a rewrite of Dante's Inferno?
Dante had a theological wet dream, for God's sake. Yanofsky is hard-edged, relentless.
Yeah, great stuff. Sex, violence, and weird religion ought to make a mint.
Now.
Oh, Gordon will love it.
I want to get Yanofsky on the phone right away.
Put them together and you clean up. Too bad about AJ. He used to be honest, at least.
Andrew, you're starting to bore me. Get useful. Here's the number. Put it through for me while I check the mail, huh?
Is this number his agent?
No, his home in Mexico. The manuscript didn't come from an agent. Use the phone in my office.
Oh, well. Little diversion helps put in the day. Can't believe I'm doing this. I'll be promoted to Linda's assistant faster than I thought. Hello. May I speak to Mr. Yanofsky, please?
Tell him who wants to speak to him. He won't talk to just anybody.
Oh, thanks a lot. Beg your pardon?
Tell him Linda Ross.
I see. No, there isn't. Yeah. Thank you.
Let me talk. What the hell are you doing?
That was his wife.
Why'd you hang up?
A.J. Yanofsky died 2 years ago.
Si, senores. Yes, ladies, may I serve you?
I'll just have a black coffee, please.
Dos cafés solo, por favor.
Dos coffees solo. Very good, ladies. The coffee is just...
I hope you are enjoying Mexico, Miss Ross.
I am, thank you. Mrs. Yanofsky, I'm a direct person.
Good. So am I.
Sorry if I seem to pry, but I must know. How did your husband die?
He was eaten away, Miss Ross, from the inside. When there was more outside than inside, he died. In my arms, like kindling wood.
And you told no one?
Oh, the doctor, the undertaker. It was his wish. He wanted to keep the mystery. And I have kept it.
You must have loved him very much.
He needed me. Others may have needed him.
I guess I was one of those once.
It means nothing, except for a man's vanity. But vanity, you know, means things that are in vain. At the end, he had only me.
Yes. I wanted to ask you, did he leave any other papers? Any notes or sketches?
That was all he left. Pieces. He became unable to... He could not put anything together. The drugs, you know.
Were they sketches for some particular work, or...?
Oh, no. Whatever came into his head.
May I see them later?
There's nothing to see. All burnt. He told me burn them.
Dos coffees solo. You like something to eat, señoras, ladies?
Estoy al régimen, señor.
Qué bonito, señora.
So there was no book?
No book.
But the typing. You said you recognized his machine.
Old typewriters have scars on some of the letters. He's had a crooked O.
Like fingerprints.
The manuscript is from my husband's typewriter.
Then we're getting warmer, surely.
But I sold it. I sell everything, so who knows what writer is using it now.
But the handwriting, the corrections, the signature on a letter, could those be faked?
What do you want me to say? That he came back from the dead?
No, I can't easily believe in...
The dead do not rise again.
There are mediums who say that they can take dictation from the spirit world. Have you experienced...
They take the credit, no? Forgive me, but such people work for money.
If the Book of Hell gets published, Mrs. Yanofsky, the money will come to you. Would you object to that?
I would not personally object, no. But that book will never be published.
Oh? You'd object on behalf of your husband?
Why should I? Obviously, he is trying to get it published.
Do you really believe that?
I believe only that life is mysterious.
Why do you think the Book of Hell...
It will never be published. Because it is probably true.
I don't like the typeface, Pete. And the paper stock looks flimsy.
You get what you pay for, Gordon.
You used to make better-looking books.
And you used to have a better class of writers. You want to upgrade the materials? Fine. But I'll have to upgrade the price.
And we both know I can't afford it. Buckram binding.
A thing of the past. Now it's paperbacks run off a newsprint.
We go back a long way, Pete.
Yeah, sure do. My old man was your dad's printer.
I hate asking for credit, Pete, but I'm in a bit of a jam. Could you carry me for 6 months?
Sure, Gordon. No sweat.
All I need is one bestseller. Paperback rights in 6 figures. Maybe a film option.
Yep. Just one blockbuster. Where you going to find it, Gordon?
Gordon.
What do you want, Andy?
Linda just phoned from New York.
Yeah?
Not a single major publisher has been offered a Yanofsky manuscript in 12 years.
What? How many people know about the Book of Hell?
You and me and Linda.
None of the secretaries?
I don't think so. No letters, no calls.
Where's the manuscript now? Did she leave it with you?
No. Took it with her. Just ran out, flagged a cab, and took her chances.
Well, the minute she gets back, have a photocopy made. No, you better make it yourself. We can't take chances.
Gordon, you sound as if you're going to buy it, and you haven't even read it.
You haven't read it either. Why so superior?
The notion of a real hell went out with the Flat Earth Society. Even the church calls it a figure of speech. We'd be the laughingstock of the scientific community.
Weird religion makes lots of money, remember?
Oh, I just don't follow you. You turn down a major work on the human condition and latch onto a hokey piece of pulp about hell.
I have an open mind.
You've got an open cash register.
Is anybody in a position to sue us?
What? Sue?
Could anyone stand up in court and call the writer a liar? Call the whole thing a hoax?
If that's all that matters to me.
Now listen. Nobody's to find out about this book. No one. When Linda gets back tomorrow, it's not to be discussed in this office.
Why the massive security?
We'll meet at my place, or on a park bench if we have to, but not here. Yanofsky lived his whole life in secrecy.
Enhanced his charisma, I guess.
Secrecy, without the media messing things up, can buy us 3 months lead time. The Book of Hell just might be our salvation.
I keep telling you, Gordon, Yanofsky's wife doesn't want a contract. She's not a businesswoman.
A businesswoman, for God's sake. Is there a contradiction in terms? She's his executor, isn't she?
He didn't leave the book. It's just been written.
Oh, sure. Smuggled out of hell in a diplomatic pouch.
I can only tell you that's what Mrs. Yanofsky believes.
Well, that settles one thing. I don't have to pay any royalties. If there's no copyright, we could even rewrite the damn thing.
What?
Fake the fake.
Not when you've read it, Gordon, you won't.
I'm trying to get my hands on it. Where's Andy with that bloody Xerox?
He should be back any minute from the office.
I want to read it at home tonight.
If this is a fake, it may be harder to explain a hoax than... I mean, there are forces beyond... Oh, I don't know what I mean.
So I gather.
His wife made it all seem completely mysterious.
Am I getting you straight?
Oh, I need to get away from... to get some perspective.
All this documentary eyewitness stuff? You trying to tell me there are pens and typewriters in hell, and paper that doesn't burn, and a post office?
The post office even you could believe.
Yeah, it's probably the model for our mail service.
What I'm trying to say, Gordon, is that the usual marks of a fake are just not there. The Book of Hell isn't even a copy of Yanofsky's old style.
What about the detective stuff, the machine?
Sure, it's his old typewriter, but God knows who might have picked it up in a flea market.
And the handwriting.
How could a phony have forged it so meticulously, and why? Forgery is even less likely
than... Come on, Linda. Feminine fantasy isn't going to solve anything.
Oh, bull.
So let's be logical. Either Yanofsky's still alive...
I've told you, he died in his wife's arms.
Or he's dead, she says. Were there any witnesses?
I've seen the grave.
You didn't dig him up, though?
No, I didn't dig him up.
Then it's unproven, as the Scots say. But as I started to say, either he's still alive, or it's got to be a fake.
Gord! Oh, here he comes like Roger Bannister. Andy, don't drop that briefcase.
Listen, I've been all around the park 3 times. Let's synchronize directions next time.
Sure. Meanwhile, I just want to read the damn manuscript before I bet my life on it. You got the Xerox?
Listen, I couldn't.
Give me the briefcase, Andy. But this is the original.
Where's the copy, for God's sake?
I'm trying to tell you. It won't Xerox.
What are you talking about?
I tried it on 3 different machines, and there's something weird. The sheets all come out blank.
Their knowledge of human anatomy is so complete that the worst tortures on earth cannot compare with the exquisite pain they inflict.
That's enough.
Okay.
Okay, play it back, Andy. That's bloody odd. Check the machine again. There's got to be an answer.
Yeah, I'll test it again. One, 2, 3, Apple Baker Charlie. Testing. 1, 2, 3, Apple Baker Charlie. Testing.
The Book of Hell won't photograph. And it won't record.
Where does that leave us?
The ink could be a chemical gimmick. Wouldn't Xerox. It's your voice reading, Linda.
I didn't take either.
Yeah.
So the mystery's in Yanofsky's words.
There are more things in heaven and earth.
Save the scholarship, Professor.
Maybe if we tried again.
We came all the way out to my place to read the Book of Hell, so let's get on with it. Copies or no copies? Pick up where you left off, Linda.
The use of microorganisms, first to stimulate the frontal cortex of the brain, then to frustrate neurohormonal responses, sets up an alternating swing between hope and despair. One group of microbes arouses expectation in the control center, while another renders the receptor muscles unable to comply. These positive and negative forces locked inside care no more about their battleground than ravaging armies on Earth. You are, I am, their Hiroshima. On my second day in Ward 7...
Go on.
What hideous torture.
Get yourself another whiskey. Go on, Linda.
On my second day in Ward 7, they began the injections. The first injection induced a high far beyond any I had ever experienced on Earth. It was as if I were being carried to the top of a demonic roller coaster and forced to look far below at the twisting track of terrors. The second injection plunged me down into an abyss. I thought frantically of escape, only to realize what a trap I was caught in. There was no escape from this insane cross-wiring. I was my own torturer. Shall I go on?
Makes a crazy kind of sense. Like a report from a madhouse.
He took it on his own terms, if you can accept them. A day, for example, is his metaphor.
Metaphors you play with in our world. Look, all he does is talk about physical suffering, mental suffering.
Exactly.
In hell, you don't have a body or a mind. For God's sake, you have a soul. A lost one.
How do you know, Gordon? You're getting awfully metaphysical.
Well, to come back down to earth, I know when I hear a stoned nut describing hell from his hacienda in Mexico. He's got one hell of an imagination, that's all.
That is not all, Gordon. Dig deeper.
If he's got a body and a mind, he's not dead. And the last time I heard, you had to be dead to go to hell.
For what it's worth, he explains that.
Well, I, for one, can't wait to hear it.
I was then confined in a small cubicle, made of what appeared to be mirrors. Though I knew I was dead, the excruciating pain contradicted me. Yet search as I might in the mirrors, there was nothing there. Thus, they drive home their most chilling lesson in damnation. If we do not exist, we must invent ourselves. With no body or mind left to torture, the soul must torture itself by recreating body and mind out of remembered fragments. I was to program my own inferno.
Good God.
Well, he certainly lost his mind.
Listen. In effect, my soul was a monstrous cancer, continually creating within itself the means of my destruction. The lost soul is one that no longer controls its own circuitry. The signal apparatus has been taken over by the enemy, which uses it to destroy me, to destroy you. The sensation is like spontaneous combustion.
I should have taken it off the hook.
Oh, let it ring.
And you take a message, would you? And leave it off the hook?
Yeah, okay, I'll get it.
Go on, Linda. Go on.
It is this control of the circuitry, this ability to send phantom signals to real bodies through their remembered images, like pins stuck in a doll, that gives hell its power on earth. Hell is not a place, but a system for disrupting the plans of God.
Gordon, that was the police. Our warehouse just went up in flames.
You'll never get near it, Mr. McIntosh.
Can you save anything?
What isn't already burned will be soaked. Get that ladder out of there. Over to the right.
My whole life's work. What a bloody mess.
At least we moved the office downtown. Didn't lose everything.
Well, what can we do without stock? Without books to sell?
Well, there's insurance, isn't there?
Insurance.
Andy, that's hardly a consolation.
Don't push your luck, Andy. I've been pushing mine.
Reader in the other way. Let's go.
Captain?
Yes, Mr. McIntosh. Anything I can do for you?
Any idea what started it?
Well, a little early to tell. Faulty wiring, maybe.
No way. Completely rewired last year.
Any sign of arson, Captain?
Well, not so far, but that's unofficial.
There has to be a cause.
Books, soak up moisture. Then heat sometimes. Could have been spontaneous combustion, an act of God.
Gordon, you still want to go ahead with the Book of Hell?
I don't know. What else have we got to push?
Half a dozen books in the fall list that just might
Ease us gracefully downhill to bankruptcy. Why should we give up on the one sensational manuscript that might get us back in the race?
You still think the warehouse fire was a coincidence?
Linda, you are a lovely lady, an intelligent person, and a great editor.
In that order?
But you will never make me believe in ghosts.
Gordon, you're beginning to protest too much.
Extrasensory perception might be okay if we completely explored the five senses we already know about.
You need a license to preach in this park,
don't try to convert me to diabolism.
Obviously, the Book of Hell didn't do that.
Not what I've heard so far. I'm the only one who never gets to read it through. Where is it now?
Locked in my office.
Well, let's keep it there. So long as I'm legally clear as publisher, I don't give a damn who wrote it or where it came from.
We sort of gathered that.
A production like this has to be played very carefully, kept under heavy wraps at just the right moment, and published with all the hype we can muster.
And what about the cold, hard looks in retrospect?
Backlash?
Or maybe just knowing grins all over the media.
By that time, we'll be heavily into foreign sales, translations, film rights, all bundle.
Laughing all the way to the bank.
Yeah, by then, even the fire will seem like a godsend, like a brilliant publicity stunt.
Gordon, ever heard of hubris?
Hubris is contempt for God, Professor. I'm prepared to show a little contempt for the devil.
That's all very daring, Gordon. But how are you going to print a facsimile of the Book of Hell if it won't photograph?
That reminds me. Gotta get back to the office and talk to Pete. He'll have to set the whole manuscript in type. When it's finally on press, I just hope it'll print.
Sure, Gordon. I don't see why not. If you got trouble getting photostats, we could set linotype and run it off the letterpress. Well, just have to work out the costs. Hold on a sec. Hey, Bill! What's that carton doing on the conveyor belt? It'll wreck the whole run.
You guys want to go somewhere for a cup of coffee?
Oh, I hate chicory.
And I hate funerals.
You didn't have to go to his funeral, did you?
I felt responsible somehow.
You? What about me? The Book of Hell hadn't been sent to me in the first
cut
place.
it out, both of you. It's nobody's fault. These things happen. Something just comes up with your number on it.
So, what do we do now?
Now, we can get another printer. It's just a matter of booking press time.
Not if word of the book gets out. No one would touch it with a 10-foot pole. They'd say it was jinxed.
I hate to rub it in, but I was against it from the start.
Come on, Andy. You blew hot and cold the whole time.
I was skeptical at first, sure, but when drastic things began to happen...
Where is the Book of Hell? Is it still locked up in your office, Linda?
It's in my briefcase. Gordon,
I want to see it.
Gordon, please.
I've got to make the decision back at the office. I haven't had the damn book in my hands yet.
Be my guest, Gordon. The Book of Hell by A.J. Yanofsky.
Thanks. Now, let's see what a monstrous fake feels like. Huh. There's some sort of smell. Musty. Something acrid.
Gordon, look out!
Yeah!
Poor Gordon.
Poor Yanofsky.
Because his book was destroyed?
Because Yanofsky dared to write it. Can you imagine the ghastly things they'll do to him now?
Linda, we've both read the Book of Hell. We're the only ones who know. What will they do to us?
You have just heard The Book of Hell by Mavor Moore. Featured in tonight's cast were Bud Knapp as Gordon, Nani Griffin as Linda, and Patrick Young as Andy, with Lynn Darragon as Mrs. Yanofsky, Hugh Webster as Pete, and Alan Doremus as the fireman and the waiter. Our recording engineer is John Jessup, with sound effects by Bill Robinson. Our production assistant is Nina Callahan, and the series story editor is Earl Toppings. Nightfall is produced and directed for CBC Radio by Bill Howell.
That's the horror for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. You can find more from Nightfall, past episodes of the horror, and thousands of other old-time radio episodes at relicradio.com. Don't forget to donate while you're there, and my thanks to all who have. Thanks for joining me this week. I'll be back next Saturday with another episode of the horror.
Strange Tales.
RelicRadio.com presents tales of the strange and bizarre, the weird and the wicked. Stories not necessarily of the supernatural, but of the unnatural. Join us now for Strange Tales, featuring radio drama at its most mysterious and unusual. Welcome back to Strange Tales. Thanks for joining me this week. We'll hear from the Mysterious Traveler this time, a series that debuted over the Mutual Broadcasting System in December of 1943. It aired until September of 1952, producing over 300 episodes. Our story today is The Devil and the Deep Blue Sea, their story from January 6th, 1949.
Broadcasting System presents The Mysterious Traveler, written, produced, and directed by Robert A. Arthur and David Cogan, and starring tonight two of radio's foremost actors, Mason Adams and Santos Ortega, in The Devil and the Deep Blue Sea.
This is The Mysterious Traveler, inviting you to join me on another journey into the realm of the strange and the terrifying. I hope you will enjoy the trip, and it will thrill you a little and chill you a little. So settle back, get a good grip on your nerves, and be comfortable, if you can, as you hear the story I call The Devil and the Deep Blue Sea. Our story begins in that part of the Caribbean Sea known as the Great Bahama Bank, which lies north of Cuba. In the calm, sparkling sea are two ships, a British destroyer and a small schooner. The schooner is a derelict and barely afloat. There's great activity aboard the destroyer as its longboat returns from the schooner. A few moments later, Chief Petty Officer Warren reports to the captain of the destroyer.
Yes, Warren? Schooner's American, sir. The Golden Queen out of Key West. We found one man aboard. He was unconscious. He's in sick bay receiving medical attention.
Has he regained consciousness yet?
No, sir. He's in bad shape. We found him lying in the hold of the schooner. The cabin and rigging were completely gone.
Yes, well, evidently the schooner received the full force of that hurricane 10 days ago. Probably the other crew members were swept overboard.
Yes, sir. I've a letter which might throw some light on the subject, sir.
A letter?
Yes, sir. I found it clenched in the unconscious man's hand. Here you are, sir.
Let me see. Written in pencil. Pages are dry now, but they seem to have been soaked with seawater.
Yes, sir.
A bit difficult to read. Let's see, it begins... It seems impossible that with the hurricane that is now sweeping over this ship, anyone will ever read these words that I am writing. The rigging and cabin are gone, and the ship is taking on water. As I lie here in the hold, I feel it can only be a matter of moments until the end. But if by some miracle this ship should survive, I leave this letter
as a record of the cruise of the Golden Queen. It all began last December 5th when 4 companions and myself sailed out of Key West. All of us, Chuck Riker, Sam Morris, Pete Ross, Harry Martin, and myself, Bill Storm, had been in the Navy together during the war. We had all pooled our savings and bought the schooner Golden Queen. Our destination, Flamingo Cay, some 450 miles to the southeast of Key West. Our objective, to recover treasure from an English pirate ship reported sunk by a Spanish man-of-war at Flamingo Cay in 1632. As we reeled off mile after mile, the days were hot and bright, the nights a dark blue velvet, with a sky full of stars, and a good breeze filled the high white spread of sails. As we sailed the same waters that countless treasure ships had sailed only a few centuries ago, there was a growing sense of excitement and anticipation aboard the Golden Queen. At dawn on the 6th day of our trip, our lookout sighted Flamingo Cay.
Hey, that's it. 3 points to starboard.
Bill, that is Flamingo Cay, isn't it?
That's it, all right. Steady as she goes.
Steady as she goes.
Now, here, hold one end of this chart down.
Sure, Bill.
Now, here's Flamingo Cay, and here's Pirates Lagoon.
Pirates Lagoon?
Yeah.
According to the log of the Spanish man-of-war, that's where the English pirate ship headed in, trying to escape the Spanish.
The pirate captain sailed across the entrance to the lagoon, and a hidden route them wide open. Sank with all hands in less than a minute.
And with all its stolen treasure still aboard.
300-year-old log of the Spanish man-of-war is right. The pirate ship is on the bottom of that lagoon directly ahead.
That lagoon is sort of big, isn't it?
Yeah, it isn't going to be easy. Back steady as she goes. A few minutes later, the Golden Queen drove through the small opening in the jagged ring of reef and slid into the calm, smooth water of the lagoon. The anchor chain clanked as the big hook splashed into the water and found bottom. We had arrived at our destination. That afternoon, we lowered a small boat and began the tedious job of rowing back and forth across the lagoon, peering down into the crystal-clear water, looking for some indication of the wrecked pirate craft. Our eyes began to ache from the reflected sunlight as we scanned the bottom of the lagoon hour after hour. As one day of searching followed another, our spirits fell. It was on the 6th day that our luck changed.
Hey, stop rowing. Bill, look.
What? I don't see a thing.
No, keep looking at the bottom where I'm pointing.
Well, it just looks like a large mass of coral covered with marine growth.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Yeah, but the marine growth. Can't you see the muzzle of a cannon sticking through?
Hey, you may be right. It does look like the muzzle of a cannon.
Do you think that marine-covered mass to be the...
Sure, it's the pirate wreck.
Sam, I think you found it. Chuck, drop a buoy to mark the spot.
Right, Bill.
Now let's get back to the Golden Queen and get the diving equipment ready. This may be it. An hour later, I was in the diving suit. Sam gave the helmet the 8th turn that fastened and locked it. The faceplate was slammed shut, and I could feel the air coming through my lines from the pump. I stepped onto the diving platform, and a moment later was descending into the clear, warm water. Fish of all colors darted about me as I was slowly lowered. My weighted boots struck bottom at 130 feet. Following the beam of light over my helmet, I peered into the wall of water around me. Suddenly, my heart began pounding with excitement. For less than 200 feet away was the large marine-covered mass of coral. I began to cautiously make my way toward it, keeping a careful eye out for sharks and morays which abounded in these waters. As I made my way closer, I could clearly see that the marine growth covered an old hulk. The ship lay on its side with a huge gaping hole in the broken hull. Scattered on the floor of the lagoon were ancient barnacle-encrusted cannon, guns, and timbers. Beyond a doubt, it was the wreck of the English pirate ship. I signaled on my line, and Sam sent down the explosives that were to be used to blast the hull. I wasted no time in planting the charges in the hull. It was just as I had finished that I heard his voice.
You've come for Captain Murdoch's treasure, eh?
I whirled about clumsily, instinctively. But I was alone. Then I heard it again.
They've all come for my treasure. Cutthroats and cut purses, gulls and conies. And they've all left their skins.
Again, I whirled about, seeking for that voice, but there was nothing at all. I could feel a scream welling up within me. Since the boy spoke again, I gave 3 sharp tugs on my line. It was the emergency signal.
You're the best, laddie. But remember, it's Captain Murdoch you've got to deal with. Captain Murdoch.
Keep the pumps going, Pete, till I get the taste plate open. Okay. Hey, Bill, what was wrong? Why'd you give the emergency signal?
Why did it cease? Bill, what happened? Was it an octopus? An octopus? Yeah.
Sure, these waters are full of them. You should have taken a saddle and torch down with you. They don't like torches.
Yeah.
You just take it easy for a while.
Bill, if you plant the explosives. Sure. Pete, detonate the explosives.
Okay, here goes.
They didn't go off. Bill, you're sure you made the connection? I made them, all right.
Well, they must have gotten loose. We'll just have to try again.
What about my going down? No.
Why not?
Well, because Chuck's only a beginner, and he's never gone down that deep.
You got a point there.
Well, okay. Means we'll have to wait until tomorrow.
Yeah. Phil will go down as soon as it's daylight and plant some more explosives. Right, Bill?
Right. Well, that night I lay awake in my bunk, going over and over in my mind the dive I had made and the strange voice I had heard. I kept telling myself that it had been an hallucination. That must be it. Being in pirate waters, the excitement of the search, going down to 130 feet, all had combined to create this hallucination. It was the only possible answer. What other answer could there be? Morning came and I donned the diving suit. Sam handed me an acetylene torch. And a few minutes later, I was descending into the calm, green water. I touched bottom only a few feet from the wreck and signaled Sam to send down the explosives. As I waited, I found myself constantly turning in a circle, peering through my faceplate at the well of water which pressed in on me. The explosives were lowered to me, and I planted them in the hull. As I finished, I heard that voice once again.
You've come back, have you?
He spoke. I could feel cold shivers running through my body, and I fought the impulse to give the emergency signal.
Aye. That's the curse of treasure. Once a man tends it, there's no turning back. Ask me, laddie. Captain Murdoch. I'll tell you.
What? Where are you?
Where am I? Ask the fish that stripped me of my flesh and left me bones as a warning to the likes of you. Look at you. Huddling about like a jackanapes to see me. Hey, you fool. Did you think the spirit of a man could descend?
What do you want?
For 3 centuries I've pondered this accursed wreck, waiting for the likes of you. And now you've come. A treasure, laddie, such as you've never seen. Rubies and diamonds, pearls and sapphires, silver and gold. The wealth I saw from a dozen Spanish galleons. I'll share it with you, if you agree to my terms.
Terms?
Aye, laddie, terms. First, I'll share with you and only you. For the others, a dagger or the plank.
A dagger? Or the plank?
Aye. Many's the crew that felt my steel when there's been treasure to share.
You mean murder Sam, Chuck, and the others?
Aye.
Your boys. What you're saying. It's all an hallucination. It must be. I'm just hearing things.
I cannot word. What manner of weeping is this? What the steel do the men have done?
Stop talking. Stop talking. Do you hear? I won't do it. I won't.
You do it, laddie. Or you'll ne'er take my treasure.
Who's to stop me? A voice? A sheer hallucination?
Captain Murdoch, laddie. Captain Murdoch.
You're just a voice. You can't stop me. But no. Don't. You're choking me. Stop.
You can feel me, laddie. But you can feel my wrath, can you not?
Let go.
You'll find me a reasonable captain if you follow my orders. But if you don't, laddie, you'll ne'er see the sun again. Now these are my sons. Say haste to my work.
How is he, Sam?
Right. You're just coming to. All right, take it easy, Bill. Just lie where you are.
What happened?
Well, I signaled you while you were on the bottom, but you didn't answer, so we hauled you up, but fast. We didn't even stop for decompression stages.
Made you pass out. I don't know.
Maybe your airline got snarled in the wreck.
Maybe. Did you plant the explosive? Yeah. All right. Pete, detonate it.
Okay. Hang on to something.
That did it.
Look at all those pieces of wood and dead fish coming up to the surface.
Yeah. That explosion must have ripped the wreck wide open. Ought to be soft pickings from here on in. What do you say, Bill?
Yeah, soft pickings.
All right, come on, boys. Let's get the diving equipment in A1 shape. Tomorrow's the big day.
All that night I lay awake in my bunk, staring into the darkness, trying not to think of that voice. But there was no escaping. I could hear his every word over and over, relentlessly pounding into my brain, till I could no longer think for myself. As I donned the diving suit shortly after dawn, I could see Sam and the others eyeing me curiously as they helped me on with my equipment. 15 minutes later, I was on the bottom, making my way towards the wreck. The stern portion of the hulk had been blown into hundreds of fragments, and the floor of the lagoon was littered with old firearms, metal armor, broken gun flints, and cannonballs. As I picked my way through the debris, he spoke.
Come for the treasure, eh, laddie? Now that you and me are partners, you're welcome to it. And what a treasure it is.
Where is it?
You'll find 4 chests buried under that wreckage to your starboard.
There?
Aye. It took 12 ships and 1,000 lives to make up that treasure. Wait till you set eye on the precious stones I plucked from the San Cristo Domingo. Worth a king's ransom.
These chests are filled with treasure?
Aye. And well you might gape. Lash that rope around them, laddie. This heavy they are.
They must each weigh at least 500 pounds.
Aye. Lash them snugly. With our fortune you have there, laddie. We'll buy the world for us.
All right, hold still, will you, Bill? I'm trying to get your helmet off. There. Look at it, boy.
4 chests, Bill, filled to the brim with jewels and gold. Just look at it. Sam, what do you think it's worth?
5 million, maybe 10, even 20. Who knows? Look at this diamond. Why, it's the size of an egg. There's no telling what it's worth.
Some of the other diamonds are almost as big.
Boy, we really hit the jackpot.
Why, Bill, what's wrong? You haven't said a thing.
I guess I'm tired. Put me out of the suit.
Why, sure. Give me a hand, boys. This is the guy who did it for us.
He sure did.
I don't mind helping you, but this is hardly the kind of work for millionaires.
Now you're talking, Pete. And, boy, just as soon as we get Bill out of this diving suit, we'll weigh anchor for Key West.
Well, I gotta...
What do you mean, no?
Let's stick around so that I can make another dive tomorrow. I may have overlooked a couple of chests.
Well, that's hardly likely. Oh, you've done enough diving, Bill. I don't mind telling you that you've had us all worried these past couple of days.
Yeah. You've been acting kind of strange.
That's wrong with him that $1 million won't cure.
Sun's already setting. We'll leave tomorrow.
Okay. I guess another night here can't make much difference. We'll weigh anchor at dawn. Now let's get these 4 chests below.
That night I lay in my bunk, waiting, watching. First Sam, then Pete, then Harry fell asleep. I slipped quietly out of my bunk, crossed the cabin, and stepped out on deck. A full moon shone down on the Golden Queen, and I could see Chuck, who was on watch, standing near the wheel, smoking. As I approached, he turned and saw me. Hello, Bill. Couldn't sleep, huh? No. What about the others? They're sleeping. Don't see how they can do it. I'm so excited I couldn't.
All I can think of is the treasure and what I'm going to do with my share.
Yeah.
Hey, what's the matter with you? Don't sound very enthused.
I guess I'm just tired.
Those dives you made must have taken a lot out of you.
Yeah. It did. Is that a ship out there?
Where?
There, 3 points to starboard.
I'm looking, but I don't see any.
I caught him as he dropped, then I carefully eased his body over the rail and let go. He hit the water with only a small splash and was gone. When dawn came, the others had followed. I was alone on the Golden Queen. Alone? No, that isn't quite correct. He was aboard. I couldn't see him, but he was with me all right. With his assistance, I weighed anchor. A half hour later, using the auxiliary engine, the Golden Queen slipped through the opening in the lagoon and out to sea. For a day and a night, I stood at the wheel, and when I was exhausted, he took over. It was on the 4th day that the hurricane caught me. Within the first hour, it swept the rigging and cabin overboard and left me helpless. Mountainous waves, one after another, are breaking over the Golden Queen.
And only a miracle can save me. If I go down, surely I must, at least he'll go with me. I realize now, too late, that the letter ends at this point.
What do you mark it?
Make of it? Well, it's obviously the letter of an insane mind. Bill Storm, the unconscious man that you found aboard the derelict, became demented when his 4 companions were swept overboard during the hurricane. And, as a result, wrote this fantastic letter.
Sir, while searching through Storm's pockets for the identification, I found these.
3 coins.
Yes. If you scrape the brown crust off him, you'll see they're gold pieces.
Look here. These coins are hundreds of years old.
Yes.
And that part of the letter about recovering sunken treasure might possibly have been true. Did you find any chests aboard the derelict?
No, sir. It was swept as clean as a whistle.
Well, perhaps it wasn't only the loss of his 4 companions, but the loss of the treasure as well that sent Storm out of his mind. Yes.
Sir, do you think there might have been anything to do with this Captain Murdoch he mentions in the letter?
Certainly not. Don't be ridiculous. I'm amazed at you, Warren. Next you'll be telling me that you believe in ghosts.
Oh, sorry, sir.
Come along to the sick bay. We'll see if Storm has regained consciousness yet.
This fellow Storm, he seems to be regaining consciousness, sir. He's opening his eyes. Can't make out where he is.
All right now, Storm. Just lie quietly. Don't try to speak. You're quite safe now. You're aboard a British destroyer. The doctor says you're going to be all right.
He's trying to say something, sir.
No, don't try to speak, Storm. Just lie quietly and take it right. What was that?
He was asking me, sir, about the treasure.
Oh, yes, the treasure. Well, I'll get to that, Storm, in just a moment. But the main thing to remember is that it's a miracle that you survived. You know, I read that fantastic letter you wrote, and I can only attribute it to the shock and grief of losing your shipmates in the hurricane. Never read such utter claptrap. Pirate ghosts, indeed. As for the treasure, I'm sorry to say that the hurricane swept your schooner clean. All that Chief Warren found were these 3 gold coins. The rest, I'm afraid, is gone.
Gone?
Yes, my good man, swept overboard.
Swept overboard? Why, you
sniveling, perfumed, white-bellied girl. You think the likes of you can keep my treasure from me? Ask the others that tried it. Black Irish, Billy Bones, the Frenchman, Captain Bull. They felt my steel and left their bones to bleach in the sun. Bring me my chest, or I'll rip your tongue out and hang it to the highest yardarm. As sure as my name is Captain Murdoch.
My good man, excuse me. You're out of your mind. One, help!
You, Captain Murdoch's treasure, would you? I'll see out of the world, laddie boy. As I did the other. Help! You'll never keep Murdoch's treasure. No use struggling, laddie. You're done for.
mysterious traveler again. Did you enjoy our trip? Or was the captain of the British destroyer choked to death? Oh, no, he was saved. I've never been the same since. As for poor old Bill Storm, well, he's now safely under lock and key. He still speaks in 17th century English and insists he's Captain Murdoch. And now and then, he buttonholes one of his attendants and whispers of fabulous loot to be won on the high seas through piracy. But so far, he's been unable to muster up a crew. Now, that reminds me of next week's story, The Accusing Corpse. It's about a murderer who discovered that the dead sometimes arise from the grave to... Oh, you have to get off here. I'm sorry. But I'm sure we'll meet again. I take this same train every week at the same time.
You have just heard The Mysterious Traveler, a series of dramas of the strange and terrifying. The role of the Mysterious Traveler is played by Maurice Tarplin. Frank McCarthy speaking. This program came from New York. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
That's the show for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. You can find a lot more from The Mysterious Traveler, past episodes of Strange Tales, and thousands of other old-time radio episodes at relicradio.com. Our Shoutcast stream is up and running there too, and you can donate to this and all of the Relic Radio shows by visiting donate.relicradio.com or clicking on the link on the website. Your support keeps this show coming every week. My thanks, as always, to those who have helped out. Thanks for joining me today. Talk again next Sunday with a story from Murder at Midnight on another episode of Relic Radio's Strange Tales.